For the past 3 decades, Kingslake has been at the forefront of digitally transforming manufacturing processes with partners and our very own Kingslake Blue suite of solutions. Today, we harness our deep knowledge of the manufacturing industry and our research culture using latest AI techniques in niche areas to provide specific solutions to problems. Over the years, our solutions have helped more than 300 customers in their growth journey. We also work with globally recognized technology partners to bring benchmarked practices. At Kingslake, we always believe our people have been the secret of our success. Each member brings a unique set of skills and experiences, enabling transformation in every step of our client's journey. Synergy between our cutting-edge digital solutions and our team's expert commitment makes us unmatched.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Before we begin our session, I would like to provide a brief introduction about Kingslake and our offerings. At Kingslake, we believe that we're problem solvers, committed to providing software solutions that tackle critical manufacturing challenges. For nearly 3 decades, we have utilized our experience to create innovative solutions that enhance our customers' agility and help them maintain a competitive edge in the marketplace. I now warmly welcome you all to our webinar on the next era in transportation. We're excited to have with us today Mr. Sheran Fernando, the co-chair of the Standing Committee on Climate Change at Ceylon Chamber of Commerce. Sheran is an economist by profession with a wide commercial experience, including 20 years in the automotive industry. He also has a vast experience in policy proposition and driving stakeholder engagement with government agencies, private enterprises, and trade-related committees. Over to you, Sheran.
My name is Sheran Fernando. I've been asked to talk to you all about sustainable mobility. But before I get into sustainable mobility, let me just give you a little bit of context. Let me quote an old Russian economist, Kondratiev, who in 1927 brought out this theory called the K-curve. It's a long-run business cycle. And his assumption was that economic cycles were 50 to 60 years and, in a traditional curve. And what he thought was the reason for a decline in economic growth was a disruption in existing technology, and what he thought was the reason for the inflection was a rise in the new disruptive technology. And if you look at the global growth rates, global economic growth curves over history, you will see that the K-curve theory is actually true. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that disruptive technology brought downturns in economic growth and also then brought significant upturns. And for example, when the internal combustion engine vehicle replaced horses was one instance, and you can go back and find many instances of this happening. Now, in today's global economy, there are actually 3 disruptors that are happening concurrently, which is quite unique. In terms of Sri Lanka, we have 66 gigawatts of wind power estimated. Our average usage is about 2.5 gigawatts. So obviously we have a lot more renewable energy than we can ever use in the foreseeable future. Now, if energy grids were connected, we could export that energy. The Indian energy grid is connected to Bhutan, it's connected to Bangladesh. They are looking at connectivity with the Middle East. Now, if we were to connect our grid to India, it'll give us energy connectivity. So, what I'm saying is connectivity of energy grids will have the effect of dropping electricity costs significantly, because then solar power can be shipped around, can be cabled from one country to another, and the impact will be less use of fossil fuel based energy and cheap energy. Add to this equation the dropping prices of battery energy storage systems, and this technology is now mature, and I think we will see it in adaptation very quickly. The next disruptor is ACES, the acronym, Autonomous Connected Electric Shared Vehicles. Now, an electric vehicle is approximately 40% cheaper than a non-electric vehicle. But when vehicles get to autonomous, the estimate is that it will be 10 times cheaper than a conventional vehicle. So this 10x reduction in cost happens in two ways. It happens by taking the cost of the driver out of the equation, and secondly, it happens because electric vehicles are much more efficient than internal combustion engine vehicles. The third disruption is through AI, big data analysis, robotics. This ability to crunch big data will bring productivity increases, will bring cost reductions. So whereas in the 19 in Quadratieff's equation, one disruptor could be the difference between the deceleration and acceleration of global economic growth. Here we have three happening concurrently. So that is the context within which we should look at the change, at the imminent disruption of the internal combustion engine based vehicle to the electric vehicle. Maybe you want to also think about another change that is happening, which is geopolitical. There is a shift of economic power from the west to the east. And the two countries that are at the front end are significant automotive manufacturers are firstly China, concurrently also India. So that is also somewhere in the picture. Now, the question is, when will this transition happen? I think everyone accepts that there will be a transition from the internal combustion engine to electric, and the question is when. And let me put forward some arguments to you all to say that it should be now. We are ready at a global level, and more so at a Sri Lankan level. So let me share with you some costs. Today, an internal combustion engine vehicle is the same price, I repeat, the same price as a compatible electric vehicle. Now, many people will argue against this. Many people will say an electric vehicle is 30%, 40% more expensive than a compatible ICE vehicle. And I say with full responsibility, no, it is not. There are traditional automotive manufacturers who manufacture internal combustion engine based vehicles, and they manufacture electric vehicles, and for them electric vehicles are more expensive than conventional ICE vehicles that they market. And there could be two reasons. One is that because their knowledge base, their efficiencies in manufacturing ICE vehicles, and they don't have the competitiveness vis-a-vis the new generation EV manufacturer. It could also be that they are trying to make the maximum profit from their ICE vehicles. But globally, if you compare, EVs are now at pretty much the same price as ICE. And an EV is, even if you don't take autonomous into the picture, an EV is at least 40% cheaper than an internal combustion engine vehicle. That percentage is coming from two areas. One is the efficiency. 1 unit of energy in a EV, 90, if you put 1 unit of energy into an EV, 98% of that gets to the drive wheel. In comparison to the same unit of energy in an ICE, only about 40% will get to the drive wheel. So it's the energy factor and also the maintenance factor. An electric vehicle, because it is much less complex, much less moving parts, is significantly cheaper to maintain than an ICE. So if you look at at a national level, uh, if you were to take, I mean, we have approximately 1 million ICE vehicles running. And if you were to take an extreme situation, just to argue my point, if you take if you take 1 million ICE vehicles, and if for example you convert them overnight to EVs, you will have a saving of about 1.8 billion US dollars. And the saving comes from, at the moment, the 1 million vehicles consume about 2.3 billion US dollars worth of fuel. And I see, and if you convert that to EVs, it would only consume about $500 million worth of fuel, and that is based on an energy grid that is approximately 50% fossil fuel based, right? So there is at least a $1.8 billion reduction in cost. Comparing the carbon saving, it is even more staggering, because 1 million ICEs will emit 4,500 billion kilograms of carbon a year, whereas 1 million EVs will only emit 3.9 billion kilograms of carbon. So, a completely staggering difference. There are many myths, many more myths in the whole EV versus IC, and let me just highlight a few of them. The myth of safety. I mean, you get all these pictures on Facebook and on social media showing fires of Teslas and fires of electric vehicles, but statistically, the probability of a fire in an electric vehicle is far less than the probability of a fire in an internal combustion engine vehicle. Range anxiety, how will we charge our vehicles? What about the infrastructure? This is the other issue. We have to realize that, how much do we actually travel in a day? Maybe 50 kilometers at the most for the average person. But and the average electric vehicle today does 500 kilometers in range. So we are, and the whole of Sri Lanka, 500 kilometers would get you from one corner to the other pretty much. So the maturity of electric vehicles in terms of range, the small size of Sri Lanka, the fact that battery technology has matured and charging times have declined very significantly, are all factors to support my argument that this transition should be now. We are concerned with the charging infrastructure, and is charging infrastructure ready? If you take your minds back to 2014, 2015, when the import of electric vehicles were allowed duty-free, about 500 charging stations came up within about 12 months. So my point is, demand will drive supply, and the charging infrastructure will come out very quickly when electric vehicles come on the road. We are coming up on new economic policy, and my fervent plea to everyone is, this is the perfect time, and Sri Lanka is a country that can make this transition faster than others, and it will save ourselves lots of money in terms of fuel import, and it will save ourselves a lot of carbon. Thank you very much for this opportunity of talking to you.
Thank you, Sharan, for enlightening us with those interesting insights. We are also pleased to have with us today Mr. Chandana Vijayaratna, one of Kingslake's esteemed directors. Chandana is a qualified engineer with more than 27 years of rich experience in IT systems lifecycle, with a particular focus on apparel, mobile projects, and electronic identification technology. Throughout his career at Kingslake, he has worked with both local and international clients, including some of the world's top organizations. Chandana, the floor is yours.
Good morning, afternoon, everyone. I'd like to continue from where Sharan has left off about future of mobility and sustainable transport. While EVs or electric vehicles are indeed a big part of our future, the truth is organizations need solutions today to start reducing their carbon footprint. That's where our staff transport management systems comes in. But before discussing benefit of our transport systems, let's look at what's happening on our environment. This picture was taken at 7:30 a.m. a location very near to our office. The picture talks by itself. Greenhouse gas emissions are real threat to our environment. Scientists have proven beyond doubt there's a relationship between GHG and the dangerous climate events we are facing. For example, we had floods earlier this year. Before that, we have a severe drought. So this is happening more frequently, and we can experience, on yearly what is happening. And let's take a step back and understand what's happening at the global level. The UN organization that's tried to limit dangerous climate changes globally is the organization called United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, denoted by shortened form UNFCCC. UNFCCC is the organization that coordinated the famous Paris Agreement we all know about. As you know, the Paris Agreement is trying to limit global warming to 2 degrees centigrade, taking pre-industrial levels as our reference point. The agreement aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, promote renewable energy, and enhance climate resilience worldwide. As you know, last COP, the COP28, the 28th annual conference of parties held in last November in Dubai, is the sequel to Paris Agreement. In fact, during the last COP28, it was decided to move away from using fossil fuels for the first time of the history. Nearly 200 countries agreeing to reduce their fossil fuel usage. They agreed to find and use clean energy as an alternative. The COP28 highlighted the need for urgent action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 43% by 2030. This limits global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade, hopefully. The agreement encourages organizations to focus on renewable energy, improve energy efficiency, and reduce coal power use. Let's go to the next slide. Let's talk about importance of addressing carbon emissions in staff transport. This may be something that you might not know. The first point highlights the needs for carbon emissions. The alliance with the global effort to combat climate change, which we discussed in the last slide. This also demonstrates the commitment to corporate social responsibility. It's critical to understand carbon emissions in the context of employee transportation, as this is the largest contributor for greenhouse gases for most of the organizations who provide employee transport, unless they use generators which uses fossil fuels. Next, we must consider how to address the future mobility trends, essence what Sheran has discussed. Businesses that adapt those trends will enhance their operational efficiency and also in a position themselves as a leaders in sustainability. Lastly, enhancing sustainability reporting is crucial. Stakeholders and consumers increasingly demand transparency regarding good environmental practices. We'll go into the next slide. In fact, the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, CSRD, and the European Sustainability Reporting Standard, ESRS, have established comprehensive frameworks for greenhouse gas emissions and carbon reporting. Those guidelines aim to enhance transparency, consistency, comparability of sustainable reporting. Those are divided into 3 areas. The scope 1 in the first group talk about direct emissions from the owned or controlled sources. The scope 2 emissions is the indirect emissions from generation of purchased electricity, steam, heating, cooling consumed by the reporting entity. Scope 3 emissions, all other indirect emissions in company's value chain. With Kingslake Blue TMS, you can directly track your data into circled areas in red. Hence, you are in control. By improving sustainable reporting, we can better communicate our effort in reducing carbon emissions, thereby building trust and credibility. Now I'm going to the next slide. Also, employee transport represent significant challenges to the organizations today. First, we have rising transportation cost. Those costs can severely impact budgets, especially with fuel prices fluctuating or when there's a need for maintain larger fleet to accommodate employee needs. Next, we address the operational inefficiencies. Many companies struggle with coordinating transport requests, transport schedules, tracking vehicle utilization, ensuring timely arrivals, which can lead to wasted time and resources. Lastly, environmental impact of the transport cannot be overlooked. Inefficient routes and unoptimized vehicle usage can contribute to high emissions, which is becoming a challenge for companies who are aiming to improve their sustainability efforts. I'm going to the next slide. Let's look at the typical organization who provides staff transport. Firstly, transport planning becomes highly complex when managing large volumes of requests from employees. A lot of travel requests are submitted daily from hundreds of employees, each needing transport to different locations. The challenge escalates into coordinating routes, optimizing schedules, and ensuring timely pickups. It's difficult to avoid overlap and delays. As the second point highlights, different types of transport requests like routine trips, ad hoc trips, and overtime travel add to layers of complexity. Handling various needs efficiently while keeping track of schedules and ensuring minimal delays can be very challenging. Lastly, managing large fleet of vehicles covering hundreds of kilometers often leads to significant challenges. The high costs associated with fuel, maintenance, and operation inefficiencies can quickly add up, straining budgets. Excuse me. Additionally, without real-time visibility into vehicle locations and usage, companies struggle to optimize routes, leading to wasted time and resources. I'm going to the next slide. Let's discuss how Kingslake Staff Transport Management System can help. We provide real-time transport request in workflows, system-based transport requisition platform, ensuring timely and efficient vehicle requests by the employees. Approval and notification streamline the decision-making process with instant approvals and updates, keeping all stakeholders informed real-time. All trip requests will be available for transport planners desktop, so he can do the effective planning. This reduces unnecessary paperwork, unnecessary travel, and cuts fuel consumption, and lowers carbon emissions while ensuring cost-effective transportation logistics. For example, instead of sending multiple vehicles on the same route in short intervals, you will be able to manage with one vehicle. So the companies can handle transport operations efficiently. Excuse me. Let me move to the next slide. Let's see how our transport system provides visibility on employee in transit. Kingslake Blue TMS uses QR codes or NFC cards to track employees. Each vehicle can be equipped with QR code or NFC reader that employees scan their tag upon boarding or disembarking. This method provides instant visibility into who is on the vehicle, improving safety and accountability. This allows companies to track employee movements, ensuring timely arrivals and increasing accountability during transportation. Let me go into the other slide. Sorry. Kingslake TMS has several solutions for staff vehicle tracking. We provide QR and NFC technology based on mobile trackers to track staff. The picture which shows the screens is of our mobile app. Every time staff member get in and scan their QR code, they are captured in the system. Using vehicle-based employee attendance, alerts are sent to the production team in advance about employee absenteeism, enabling better workflow planning and minimizing disruption at workplace. This ensures safe transportation with monitoring features and emergency notification, providing peace of mind for both employees and employees. I'm going to the next slide now. We also provide GPS trackers to track the vehicles. Transport can be effectively tracked using GPS trackers, providing detailed trip information such as routes taken, travel times, and real-time locations. This technology enhances visibility, enabling organizations to optimize transportation efficiently. Also improves safety and reduce cost. It provides various dashboards and reports for planners and management. Also can be integrated with the other systems with our standard API layer. Let me go into the other slide. This actually gives a quick summary about how our systems actually operate in the real-life situation. The employees, in some cases students or office staff, requesting transport using their mobile computer. The approval process makes sure they are being approved. The system will suggest the best route for planners to plan the trips. The planner can inform the drivers effectively. The staff is required to scan the QR code or NFC card when they are boarding the vehicle or getting down. The trip details will be tracked via GPS trackers. And finally, you can view vital information regarding the trip throughout the reports and dashboards. In my next slide, I'm showing a screen, real screen from our system. You can see what is planned and what is actual trip data on a map. And you can also see previous trips also, I mean the trip histories. Let's go into the next slide. Let's discuss the benefits of the system. So real planning and tracking help you to reduce transport and admin cost. You can see what's going on individually and holistically. The system's ability to visualize and plan transport routes and help you to track against actual allows for better monitoring and adjustments, ensuring that every journey is as efficient as possible. In addition to this, there are additional benefits such as employee safety and visibility. Furthermore, real-time visibility, business can react swiftly to any transport issues, reinforcing their commitment to sustainable practices. This actually summarizes all what I have to present. Let me give a very quick summary of what we have discussed so far. Kingslake Blue TMS helps your organization to significantly reduce carbon footprints through its robust features, focus on efficient planning and real-time tracking. By optimizing transport routes, organizations not only save fuel costs, but also minimize harmful emissions. This dual benefit helps companies align with science-based targets for sustainability while enhancing their overall operational efficiency. Also, with all the transportation data in one place, the organization can make informed decisions that benefit both their bottom line and also the planet. Ultimately, integration of Kingslake Blue TMS to your digital roadmap will contribute to greener future. Thank you. Happy community.
Thank you, Chandana. So now we have reached the end of our session for today. Thank you to all our participants for being here despite your busy schedules. Last but not least, thank you very much, Sharan and Chandana, for taking your time off to be with us today and for sharing your insights with us. Until next time, goodbye and stay safe, everyone.